Mary Schiavo is a former Inspector General at the US Department of Transportation. She joins me now via broadband from Charleston, South Carolina. Mary, you really know your onions, as they say, when it comes to aircraft investigations, to safety. You've lived, breathed and slept this stuff. So tell me, once and for all, how serious an incident was this today?
Well, this was a very, very serious incident. Qantas was very fortunate because once you have an uncontained engine failure, meaning exactly that, you are spewing parts of metal. It's probably what happened was a disc, one of the turbine discs came out. The engine cowling will not contain it. And in the United States, we have suffered some fatal crashes because of uncontained engine failure. So it was fortunate the pilot was able to dump the fuel, get the flight safely to the ground. There's secondary damage. You can lose your hydraulic system. You can lose some of your control systems. So it can really snowball.
With that in mind, is it just an abundance of caution by Qantas to ground the fleet? After all, from your own investigations, you know very well, you tend to find that there's always an incident, a bad bit of maintenance, something individual to a case. It's rarely systemic.
Right. Except here, because the plane is so new and because uncontained engine failures often are related to a flaw in the metal, in the jet engine, or metal fatigue, it's odd to see it on this new of an engine unless you have some sort of problem. And you could have had a problem in manufacturing. And also, Qantas had another uncontained engine failure coming out of San Francisco in September of this year on a Rolls-Royce engine. So that is why they probably are being extra cautious and self-grounding their fleet. Now, remember, if they ground it themselves, and they can determine when they're going to go back into flight. So it's also important that they take the steps rather than waiting on the government to do so.
All right.
And so it's not just overly cautious, it's prudent.
Right, well, yes, but then you can see where I'm going with this. If they're being prudent, are airlines that are not grounding their fleet being reckless?
Well, some of the airlines don't have the same engine. Some of them have the engine that was manufactured by the Pratt & Whitney and General Electric Consortium. And since an uncontained engine failure really probably is going to be an engine problem, not an aircraft body problem or a wiring problem, those who don't have this particular engine really at this point don't have a great alarm, a great concern. Those who do have this engine and are not feverishly inspecting them and at least checking if they have the same kind of parts, same model, they need to look.
Okay, now, you have obviously been at the sharp end and you've had to take the decisions and advise administrations on these issues. Would you get on a 380 with a Rolls-Royce Trent 900 engine tonight?
No. And fortunately for Qantas, you have choices. I mean, I flew Qantas out of Los Angeles not too long ago. I picked the 747. I'm a 747-400 fan, but that too has a Rolls engine. But right now, no. I'd need the authorities, and I'd need especially Qantas and others who fly the plane and Rolls to really do a once-over. And the most important thing is going to be find the parts that fell off.
Okay, but I need to ask you, are you not, because my viewers and my editors will be saying to me, well, she's just basically said don't fly the 380. Are you not just being alarmist here, Mary?
No, because, this has happened to other models. For example, in the United States, we had the Boeing 777. And in its first few months, literally in its first 18 months of operations, it had a number of problems. And at one point, it had an electrical problem. It was grounded. And then they fixed it, and off you go. And now it has a beautiful safety record. Same thing, we had another problem on a new model plane. It had problems with engine mounts. The engine actually fell off. That was a horrible, fatal accident. It was grounded. And so that's a pretty typical response until you know what went on. If they can find the part that failed, I hope they're scouring the area where this happened, because if they can find the part that failed and it had a metal problem, they'll know the answer right away.
Mary, you and I agree on one thing, and that is the 744 is a beautiful plane to fly on. Mary Schiavo joined me from the United States.